Join us today on the Final Hour podcast as we discuss the next 14 wars as the Bible describes them, and we try to put an order to them. Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to the Final Hour podcast, coming to you from the original Living Word Christian Center out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. My name is Jim Hammond.
Oh, I'm Lonaiah Farrell.
That's not a surprise. I'm John Gapp.
I thought you were going to go first, John.
No.
I'm JD.
Jeremiah. My wife
Jeremiah.
watched the intro to last week. She's like, I never watched. I always listen to it. This was weird.
To see our faces.
Yeah. And I opened.
You did.
That was
Oh,
funny.
wow. You did open, John. Because you weren't here the week before when we opened.
Well, you know.
It was down at the other end of the building.
Lollygagging.
Yeah.
John
Sure
didn't
was.
like that I called him a lollygagger. He texted me and was like, lollygagger, question mark.
Some quick information here. We are, as of now, going to Israel.
Yeah.
That is still on. Very few people have canceled. And we will give you the final word on November 20th. All right, November 20th.
It's my birthday.
And so, which
November
is
20th?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a
John.
Wednesday. I mean, that's 1 week ahead of time.
It's like 27, 28 days off. But
Yeah.
You had some information on the flights?
Yes, people listening,
I'm listening.
podcast travelers with us. Our flight information we'll have for you next week. So when this drops, by Thursday, you'll have the new flight information for the trip. So you don't have to email in asking for it. I'll be sure you get it. I
Yes.
promise.
Thank you.
As soon as we get it, we will give it to you. That's all going to be worked out. All right. It doesn't matter if Delta canceled your stuff or whatever
Right.
they did.
It
It doesn't
doesn't matter.
matter. We're all going to fly LL.
yes.
Okay. And so we're fixing that. That's fixed. That's not a hard thing to fix. Picking up where we were last week, Hamas released 4 hostages so far. I believe it's 4, and that is I said to Lonaiah as soon as it happened, I was like, they're just putting off the ground war because the world is going to say, wait, they've released 2, they might release more, and this is what's going to happen. 4 out of the 200, okay, and so it's a ploy, it's a ploy.
There we go.
Can I say one thing?
To put off the ground war as long as they can.
But not only that, I talked to a guy yesterday
Yeah.
in Israel, and I just asked, I said, hey, so they're showing us the footage of these hostages being released, and I don't know if you saw about the 2 older ladies.
Yeah.
They were like basically hugging the soldiers
Right.
when they were
Right.
leaving,
Yeah.
and they wrote an article saying, they treated us so well. We
I
had
saw
breakfast
that.
with them. They cleaned our toilet every day. And I said, Guy, I was like, there has to be some sort of like propaganda or reason for this. He's like,
Right.
they're trying to make Hamas
Right.
not look so bad. He's like, Hamas wants to kill the Jews.
Absolutely.
So he's like, I don't know what those people are that are walking out with them,
Yeah.
but he's like, the Hamas, let me tell you what the Hamas people did. He said they came in, they knew what houses they were going to go into, they knew the names of the people living in those houses, how many children they had, how many dogs they had, if their dogs were attack dogs or like family-friendly dogs, where their safe rooms were. He's like, so these Hamas terrorists that came in and attacked in the Gaza Strip, they knew all this coming, and he said So
they had intel,
Yes.
specific intel.
And he said, I didn't see the footage, but he's like, I've seen enough. He sent me a video where he went into one of the houses where the terrorists went and there's blood everywhere. And he's like, some of these people got chopped up into pieces. He's like, it was seriously for fear. So they took some people and they killed some people and they did strategic things with these people. So he's like, these people are savages. They just want to put on a good face for them to make them look good political.
Yep.
So that, like we're seeing right now
Yeah.
about what the protest people saying, oh, they're not so bad.
Yeah.
Let's just peace for everybody. We're pro-Palestine for reasons like this. That's why they're doing that.
It's propaganda,
Yes.
and it's a really old trick to lie in one place and then be your real self, which the real self was attacking and killing innocent people.
Yes.
Raping,
brutally.
putting it up, uploading it on Facebook,
Yeah.
murders on Facebook, 40 babies beheaded.
But
I had a friend that recently, a conservative friend, tell me, well, that's just a product of years of Israeli oppression.
What a joke.
And then he says, have you ever heard the Palestinian point of view? Well, I tell you what, you want to get the Palestinian point of view, that's what you get on the stinking news.
Yeah.
Okay?
Absolutely.
You want the Palestinian point of view?
Yeah.
Then just watch the news. The checkpoints and limiting movement that you go through when you're in Israel that everyone has to go through. If you'll see on the tour, that they complain about they have to do, it's for the protection of the Jewish people from someone who has sworn to their destruction.
Right.
Yeah.
Mark Twain visited in 1867, visited Israel and said it was desolate and uninhabited. And he had never seen a more desolate country in his life. 1948, the world decides, to make Israel a nation. The world. Okay, before 48, before Israel became a nation in 1948, the big question of the Bible, there's no nation of Israel. Yet the Bible talks about Israel being a nation in Daniel and Revelation. And so that was a big, people that were anti-Bible said it's not true. Well, Revelation alert.
Yeah.
They became a nation. They became a nation.
You never think of that.
Oh, yeah.
They became a nation, and the world made them a nation. And you know what? Can I tell you something? Then the Palestinians showed up.
Right.
Okay? There was no one there.
There was no one to protest. No one to rally against.
Well, when they became a nation in 48, they were immediately attacked.
Yeah, like the next day.
From everyone. So all the Arab nations surrounding them. And I know you're not going to believe this, that the Palestinians showed up after the fact because of your American-born Palestinian friend or friends that have maybe never even set foot in the Gaza Strip, or because of the news, or because you watch a bunch of conservatives on YouTube, a bunch of Christian conservatives that are ignorant and deceived and don't know the Bible.
Yeah.
Thank you, John Hagee, for 10 million strong Christians united for Israel. 10 million strong. Because as far as I'm concerned, most of the rest of the conservative churches in the body of Christ are deceived and lost. Yeah. They either believe in replacement theology, that the Jews have been replaced, which means you're going through the tribulation. Okay, but at least we have 10 million who don't just gloss over the scriptures in the Bible. Yeah. All right, as part of Christians United for Israel. And you say, oh, well, the old covenant, in the Bible and all those scriptures, that's not our covenant. Well, oh, yes, it is. It's Father Abraham. It's the Abrahamic Covenant. Okay? This is not the 10 Commandments, right? This is before the 10 Commandments. And who's our father? Father Abraham.
I was just going to sing that.
Had many sons. Many sons had Father Abraham.
I am one of them, and so are you. So let's just praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
Right arm,
right foot, left foot. Turn around, spin around, sit down. Remember Jerry Savinsky?
We are the children of Abraham.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
And that was a covenant of grace. All right? God never corrected Abraham one time.
He was a doofus on a regular basis, too.
Listen, if your church
Who's not?
doesn't understand that they're supposed to bless Israel, if they don't understand those scriptures and commands, that's not my fault. If they want to play the middle, that's not my fault. If you think the Jews are oppressing the Palestinians, you're stinking ignorant.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's okay. I understand. Because all you do is you surf the internet and you look at both points of view. And really, it's a subject with so much deception behind it.
That's true.
Yep.
That I understand why you're a deceived conservative Christian. I really do understand. We're okay. The conservatives over here are okay with putting up a wall on the border, aren't we? At least the conservatives, to keep the illegal immigrants out. but somehow we call it oppression, right? When the Israelis have walls and people on those walls, manning those walls, that's oppression. But we at least on the conservative right, we want illegal aliens not to be able to flood into our country, correct?
Yeah.
Because in Israel, and I haven't been there, but I know.
But you're going.
But Muslim, Arab people partake and participate in the Israeli government, right? They have seats. They're able to do business and travel freely through Israel.
Yeah, that's never talked about.
I mean, Israel is not there is not a massive push against anyone who is not Jewish.
No.
You're going to drive, when you drive through Israel,
Yeah.
you're going to see Arab neighborhoods
Yeah.
with houses bigger than you see in Maple Grove, with no walls
Yeah.
and no fences.
Right.
Those people go and they worship in their mosques and they work every day and they have well-paying jobs. Why? Because they're not killing the Jews.
Right.
But no one talks about that. There's a difference. We want a wall, at least I do, keeping the illegal aliens out.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the difference. The illegal aliens, the 12 million illegal aliens that we have let into this country, as far as we know, most of them haven't sworn to the destruction of the American people.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And I know most of you, unlike the Palestinian people, right? And I know most of you this, but this is for very few people. Most people know this. But there's a few out there that don't know this. And this is a basic. And you know what's sad? It's conservative Christians that go to other churches that want to play the middle.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That want to play the middle. And we've all had so many ignorant comments, right? So you have.
I just sighed. I've had some interesting
And I'm really
theories to all
sorry
this.
if your community genius pastor wants to play the middle, okay? I'm sorry. That's his business, okay? Genesis 12, 2 and 3. God to Abraham, I'm going to make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and I will curse them that curse thee. And in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Based, all the families of the earth shall be blessed based on if they bless you or they curse you.
Right.
This is what he tells Abraham. You know, Father Abraham, that guy,
Yeah.
the father, that we are Abraham's children. Genesis 12:7, and the Lord appeared unto Abraham and said unto thy seed, I will give this land. And there builded he an altar to the Lord. What about his son, Isaac? Because people say, well, Ishmael's his son too. Ishmael.
He was not the child of promise, though.
Read your Bible.
Yeah.
Ishmael didn't get the same promises as Isaac.
No.
Do you understand? Genesis 26:3-4. God to Isaac, sojourn in this land. I will be with thee. I will bless thee. For unto thee and to thy seed, that's the Jews living there now, I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swore unto Abraham your father. I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven. I will give unto thy seed all these countries around here, which they don't have. They just have a really tiny little country that everyone's telling them to give up. Yep. Thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed of thy seed, based on how they treat the Jews. Genesis 27:29. Jacob, the grandson. This is 3 generations. You know, the people of Jacob. The Bible calls them Jacob.
Yeah.
A lot of times you'll see Israel is called Jacob.
Right.
Yep.
As a nation in the Bible. Let people serve thee. The nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren. Let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be everyone that blesseth thee. This is the Abrahamic Covenant.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with the law that Jesus fulfilled.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
And so, in regards to the land, listen to this. Listen to this. People don't realize this. On that day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, to your offspring, I'll give this land from the river of Egypt to the Euphrates. For all of you that call yourself scholars and because you search the internet all day, check out that. From the river of Egypt to the river Euphrates.
It's much bigger than what they're occupying right now.
And so
True.
here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. Joel 3, 1 and 2. Behold, in those days and at that time when I restore the fortunes of Judah, 1948, okay, and Jerusalem. He prophesied this.
Yeah.
I will gather all the nations, bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. I will enter into judgment with them on behalf of my people and my heritage, because they have scattered them among the nations and have divided up my land. You're going to be judged if you divide the land.
Yeah.
If you he's talking to this generation, obviously. Mm-hmm. And so, I told you the Palestinians were Edom, and the more I've studied it, Edom, E-D-O-M, they're right there to the end. And we're going to point these scriptures out in the coming week. It is Edom. Jacob and Esau, think about it. Jacob, Israel, Esau, Edom, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Right? Brothers.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that interesting?
It is.
Okay. And I tell you what, we're going to hit these scriptures. Esau is also called not just Edom, but Mount Seir.
Yeah. Okay.
Mount Seir. Okay. So you start checking that out. All right. Because we're going to hit these scriptures next week. I'm kind of doing an overview of what we're talking about. Please remind me about Mount Seir.
I'll send myself an email right
now. Listen. Looking at, this is what got me on this. Bill Salus, S-A-L-U-S. It's called, he's written many books.
Yeah.
He's a scholar. See, I'm not a scholar. A scholar's a doctor, right? A scholar's someone with a doctorate. Are you aware of that? Mm-hmm. Right? Okay.
I am.
So you're not a scholar just because you study the Bible, right? This guy's a scholar. He's called, the book's called The Future War Prophecies, all right? And listen, he says the next war will be, and it comes out of Jeremiah 49. We're going to look at these the next week or two with Iran. It's a war of Iran it's called Elam, E-L-A-M. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right. Now, number 2, he calls the Syrian war the destruction of Damascus. All right. He's putting an order to these. Right? Isaiah 17 combined with Jeremiah 49, 23, through 27 is prophesying a full all-out war with Syria, right? Now, here's where this is interesting. Number 3, in the Bible, there is a proxy war. There is a proxy war that you can find in Isaiah 17. I tend to think what this guy is saying, Bill Salus, number 2, the Syrian war, and number 3, the proxy war, is the same thing, because Syria is a proxy of Iran right now. They are a proxy of Iran. And so you can find this in Isaiah 17, and we're going to break this down next week, all right?
Okay.
In Isaiah 17. It'd be including Iran's proxies. Isaiah 7, the third war, he's saying the third war coming. Syria is considered an Iranian proxy. Obviously, Hezbollah in Lebanon, also in Syria. I wonder because Hamas is also up there in the north now, right? It's heavily financed by Iran, okay? Mm-hmm. And he considers them, Bill Salus, a proxy of Iran. And so we're going to get into these scriptures next week. Another group of militias called the Houthis. You have Shiite militias out of Iraq. These are all proxies.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got this. All right, think about this now. Southern Iran, Elam, all right, is the people in southern Iran in the Bible.
Yeah.
I know Iran is Persian. Yes, the Persians. But Elam, E-L-A-M, is the people of southern Iran. All right?
Right.
Could that be when Israel takes out their nukes?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Okay. And so notice he's got all these things coming the Bible talks about, right? And so then he says after that, and those things are hard. The order is tough. He said, the Israelis are going to destroy southern Iran first. Well, it doesn't look like that. To me, it looks like the proxy war.
Proxy war feels like what
Yeah.
we're in right now.
And he says that's hard to figure out the order, right? He's calling the Syrian war separate from the proxy war. Syria is a proxy of Iran. And then after those three things, whatever the order would be, because I feel like we're moving into these things, you have Psalm 83, which follows up the proxy war, right? And the destruction of Damascus. He says the destruction of Damascus is what tips off the Psalm 83 Arab-only Israeli conflict. Okay, so we've gone through four things, right? Three of the first three it's hard. I think they're going to all be muddled.
Yeah.
I feel like the destruction of Damascus has to do with the proxy war.
Yeah.
All right? Because Damascus will be destroyed in a day. All right, so it almost sounds nuclear.
Yeah.
Right? And so after those four things, after Psalm 83, you have the Ezekiel 38 war, and we don't know if that's before the rapture or after the rapture. We do know the United States is not involved in that war. And this is the order, okay? So pretty easy to get the order now.
With the presence of the United States in Israel right now, kind of rules that out.
Yeah, it does rule it out. And after Ezekiel 38, you're into the book of Revelation. You've got the sealed judgment wars. These can be disputed because it's a spirit of murder that's released. That's the wars of the white horsemen. A lot of people think that's wars. I think that's just I think that's a spirit of mass murder. We'll see. We got the wars of the Antichrist. Some of this is talked about in Daniel. Then you have the second horseman of the apocalypse, probably referring to world war. We know from Revelation there is nuclear war. It talks about a mushroom. All right. The pale horseman, you've got the holy wars, the fifth trumpet judgment, you've got the demon locust invasion, which we've talked about here.
Sorry.
In the Final Hour podcast.
Yep.
I agree with Bill Salas. That is a demonic invasion. You know, the demon locust that stings, torment mankind for up to 5 months.
So terrible.
And
so terrible.
After the fifth trumpet, you've got the sixth trumpet, a war that kills 1/3 of mankind. It's a 200 million man army. We've talked about this in depth. About that in the Final Hour podcast. Is this a Chinese? Is this a demonic army? Or is this an army that's made up of technology? Right? Like, what are those things called in Star Trek? They're half...
Cyborg, or the Borg.
The Borgs. Yeah. Hey, it's prophetic. Yeah, you know, nevertheless, it's a war. Mid-trib, you've got the war in heaven. There's a war in heaven. We've talked about this on the Final Hour podcast.
Can we flip our tables there? The war in heaven. And then we can go to war. You don't get it? Okay.
Throw down with fisticuffs.
Yeah.
You've got Armageddon at the end of tribulation. You've got one last war at the end of the 1,000-year millennial reign of Christ on earth. So according to Bill Salas, this book, The Future War Prophecies, Bill Salas, this is coming first, which triggers the proxy war. Israel bombing Iran, right? Now, I know that Iranians are considered Persian, but Elam, E-L-A-M, is the people of southern Iran. Something happens to southern Iran that scatters them to the four winds. Jeremiah 49, 34 through 39. The word of the Lord that came to Jeremiah, the prophet, concerning and against Elam, this is southern Iran, in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah. This is when he prophesies it. And you'll see a lot of times, just like Daniel, he'll be talking about the present, and then he goes into the future. And you have to be able to distinguish when that happens. Thus says the Lord of hosts, this is for today. I will break the bow of Elam, the chief weapon and part of their strength, because it's southern Iran. Verse 36, and upon Elam, southern Iran, I will bring the four winds from the four corners of heaven. I will scatter them towards all those winds, and there will be no nation to which the outcast of Elam will not come. So refugees will be pouring out of southern Iran.
Wow.
And I will cause Elam to be dismayed and terrified before their enemies, before those who seek and demand their lives. I will bring evil and disaster upon southern Iran. Even my fierce anger, says the Lord, I will send a sword after them until I've consumed them. And I will set my throne of judgment on southern Iran.
Wow.
I will destroy from their king princes, says the Lord. It shall be in the latter days. You know what that's translated? the end, in the very end, that I will reverse the captivity and restore the fortunes of Elam, the millennium.
Wow.
In the millennium, Elam turns it around. Southern Iran turns it around. So he's prophesying to the end about the southern part of Iran. And I'm just reminding you that the Israelis had a huge exercise last year where they practiced bombing Iran and at the same time moved everything up to protect their borders, their military up.
Yeah.
Here's the difference between me and Mr. Salas, author of Future War Prophecies. I believe these proxy wars, could this be the beginning of the prophesied proxy war that lights the fuse for a military disaster in southern Iran? Because, okay, why are we watching that? Why are we watching that? And what an interesting time to do this, because Iran is coming to the end of this nuclear weapon thing.
Yeah.
So now nobody's looking at that right now, right? Except the Israelis. Mm-hmm. And again, in his book, Bill Salas says it's difficult to know which of these before Psalm 83 happens first. The destruction of southern Iran, the proxy wars, or the destruction of Damascus and what he calls the Syrian war. I believe the Syrian war is the same as the proxy war. Okay?
Okay.
Because Syria doesn't even have their own. They've got a very small standing army.
Yeah. You've got Russia with bases in Syria, and then Iran also,
all over the
all
place.
Backed.
Hezbollah.
We talked about all the
militias.
Syrian, being reconverted to different. versions
Shiite.
Yeah.
And but the destruction, the military disaster dealt out by the Israelis to the cities of southern Iran, or the war with Syria, the destruction of Damascus in a day, which actually hints of something nuclear because it happens so fast. It happens in a day. It's hard to tell what comes first, but I feel like we're starting to get a picture here. And keep in mind, we know that Iran, as well as the Israelis, we know, as well as the Israelis, that Iran is weeks away from a nuclear weapon. Yeah. Maybe months, probably weeks. So based on what we're looking at today, awaiting a ground war in Gaza, or waiting a major Israeli strike on Iran, who has sworn to completely destroy the Jews.
Yeah, they have been very clear about that.
And who's weeks away from a nuclear weapon.
Did you know, I was listening to this guy who lives in Jerusalem. He writes for the Jerusalem Post, and he said that a Palestinian or anybody, when they kill a Jew, for the rest of their life, they get a retirement. Like they get retirement. What's it called when you retire? You get like fees every month.
A pension?
Yes, a pension. Yeah. You get a retirement pension when you kill a Jew.
Goodness.
Isn't that blew my mind.
I can't believe that there's conservative people out there that they don't have any
discernment,
biblical teaching.
Yeah.
They're willing to say that the Israelis are oppressing the Palestinians. You know what? You haven't been there.
Yeah.
Okay. You need to go there and really check it out for yourself and stop listening to the American-born Palestinian friends or whoever, right? Okay? That maybe even if they were in Gaza twice, the Palestinians elected Hamas as their governing government. Yeah. Are you aware of that? They elected a terrorist organization, all right, to be their government. Okay, that was an election.
Yep. All
right, a free election.
And can I just say, I know we talked about this book, but there was a son of one of the Hamas founders who doesn't affiliate with his family anymore. He now lives in America. Yeah. He's protected or whatever. He's been on talk shows. Read his book. Listen to him talk about how evil and vicious these people are. They recorded every murder that they did in the Gaza Strip, and they uploaded and they saved it so everybody could see how evil they were, so that they could put fear in people. And then you have people questioning the Israelis and saying, how can you attack and defend? Like, look what they did. It blows my mind.
And keep in mind, Israelis have been bombing parts of Damascus for probably a year.
Yeah, we talked about it on our third podcast.
Trying to hit the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. And so we're going to dig into this real deeply next week, at least on the scriptures. So I can prove to you that Isaiah 17, multiple scriptures, Jeremiah, that is telling you what is going on. I believe this could be the beginning of the proxy war here. And so think about this. You have the war with Iran or with Elam, Jeremiah 49, a war in Isaiah 17 where Damascus gets destroyed. Probably the same war, in my opinion, in Isaiah 17 against Iran's proxies. Okay, obviously Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hezbollah in Syria, Hamas is up there also. All these militias up there, and so you've got that. This is all in the Bible, and so, and then you've got the destruction of southern Iran. You've got the war in Syria and a proxy war. Then you've got Psalm 83, Arab-Israeli war. Then you've got Ezekiel 38. That's number 5. All right, Ezekiel 38. Mm-hmm. And we don't know if that's right before the rapture or right after. But after that, you have the wars that come through the seal, trumpet, and bowl judgments of the tribulation, Armageddon. Then there are no wars over the 1,000-year millennial reign of Christ. And then at the very end, there's one final war. And we're just going to tease you with all this. I'm going to wrap my head around this for a week, and we're going to come back, and we're going to break down these scriptures.
It's going to be good. There's so much going on. I mean,
yes, but it's in the Bible.
It's crazy. If you, again, we've been talking about, there's a lot of parrot and puppet media going on in the United States that are taking a very interesting, not so balanced approach on what's going on in Israel right now. I think the first on the day after on October 8th, I heard an outlet talking about the attacks, and they were already talking about how oppressed the Palestinians were. I was like, wait, what now? Like at that point, I mean, the day after, and they were talking about all of these brutal things that happened, and they're going, oh, so oppressed.
The land that Israel gave them,
insane,
in the Gaza Strip was some of the most productive land in the nation.
Right.
Isn't it interesting that the Bible prophesies that the land won't produce nothing until the Jews come back?
Right.
The Jews come back, Israel's exploded. It's one of the top agricultural nations in the world.
Yeah.
And down there in the Gaza Strip, what George Bush made them give up was some of the most profitable farming land in the world. Mm-hmm. And so the Jews had greenhouses and crops. I was there. Okay.
Yeah.
I was in Gaza. All right. And before they handed it over, and you know what? You talk about Palestinians not having money. You know where all the money goes? It goes to Hamas, right?
Right.
But I'll tell you this: they could have been set for life if they would have just taken over the farming operations and all the greenhouses. I'm talking greenhouses. They were like a quarter of a mile long. They would be
wealthy.
Yeah. Yeah, but they burned them to the ground.
Yeah.
They burned them to the ground, and then they elect Hamas to rule them. All right? And so...
But yeah, speaking to John's point about the media showing images and supporting them, I was just flipping through Instagram, and I saw this Washington Stand Instagram post, and they said that the Israeli government, which when I talked to a guy, he was one of he brought a reporter in. So they allowed, I think it was like 100 reporters to come into Israel as a special group of people, and they showed them footage of what took place with the Hamas terrorists. And Guy didn't go in, but his buddy did, and he writes for Breitbart, and he's going to write an article on it. But they took 43 minutes, and they showed these reporters videotape after videotape, image after image of what actually took place on the Gaza Strip in detail. Mm-hmm. And they said the reason they had to do this is because, which it kind of like hit me at the time, because when we went to Yad Vashem in Israel my first time, there was a private family taking a tour with a lady, so I kind of like stuck with them and was listening to the Holocaust tour guide explain to this family that there are so many people right now that are Holocaust deniers that don't believe what took place from 1939 to 1945, which it took place like it started to take place 15, 20 years before that. But they deny that anything like that actually really happened in this world. This is what the lady is saying to this family as you're walking through and looking at image after image of Auschwitz and Auschwitz-Birkenau. And I did go to Auschwitz. I did have a chance to like go visit that place. It was the most humbling, experience. I just was like, you couldn't even talk. You just looked at and witnessed all the things that you read about in the books of what took place at these things. But he said the reason they had to do it is because the Holocaust denial is such a big phenomenon, and that this now is taking place in real time, that they had to show the atrocities of what was taking place, because so many people are saying, we don't really have people that do that. These terrorists didn't really do what they're saying they did. So they
did.
Yes, they did.
They did.
Absolutely did.
Yep.
Guy said they took, okay, we're going to be graphic because this is what they're doing. They killed people and then they chopped their bodies up into
like
little pieces.
Little tiny pieces.
This is like serial killer.
It is serial killer
activity.
And speaking of, I don't know if you know this. Okay, I'm kind of jumping around, so I'm going to have to grab it. But the Hamas.
But they were oppressed to the point where they did that.
No, listen.
The oppression of the Israelis caused them to do that.
Like, it just makes me really mad. I obviously get fired up about this ridiculous
absolutely.
stuff.
Ignorance.
But let's listen. The Hamas terrorists were on a high, powerful stimulant called Captagon. So this is dubbed as the poor man's cocaine when they launched their surprise attack on Israel. And the reason they take this, and look, one of the people who saw them said they had crazy joy in their eyes, like they were high on something. And they said they take this drug so that they don't think about what they're doing. They just go crazy and kill people. And it like suppresses their appetite and like alert so that they can do it desensitized. Yeah. So tell me that is not just wildly insane. These are that's what you're defending when you go to a protest that's pro-Palestinian, okay?
There's definitely an evil spirit over that because during World War II, the Germans did the same thing with Blitzkrieg.
Yep.
Oh.
All the Nazi soldiers were on cocaine. That's why they can move so fast across. It's very demonic. I gotta pray against this.
Jeremiah bringing the hard hit.
I didn't know that.
So makes me so mad.
It is.
Yeah, so what we got with the news there?
Okay, so this also makes me mad. And I don't know.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, so you guys, President Biden brought in a special ops force team to
Delta
Israel.
Force. It was Delta Force.
Delta Force, okay?
Does that mean Chuck Norris was with them?
No, Chuck wasn't with them. I think he's over 80 now. I just watched a video on Chuck Norris yesterday.
Yes,
but
morning
listen,
kick.
But Delta Force is like another level, right? I mean, and they've got their pictures up. These guys aren't allowed to be.
Oh, yeah.
And our stupid administration is putting pictures of Delta
Posted
Force.
the picture.
Yeah.
Faces and tattoos.
Faces and tattoos of this group. The post was up for 1 hour.
Good job, Joe.
Over 100,000 people saw the post. 6,000 people or 60,000 people liked it. What if that was your family member and like you never knew what he did, and then you saw the tattoo on his arm and you're like, oh my gosh.
Well, not
that's
only
my
that
son.
is now they're, anyone who hates people on the side of freedom, they are now open for targeting. Their family is open for targeting.
Makes me wonder if it wasn't on purpose.
Well, and that Joe Biden is not running the Instagram account.
No.
There is a administration that has some pretty specific goals in targeting.
Yeah.
An administration that has people who are pro-Iranian working inside of it already.
Covered that. We
did cover that.
So it's not a surprise. It's just very infuriating that our people who lay their lives down would be
treated like
this. Yeah.
These are our best. I mean, you can't say, oh, the SEALs are better than, but you know what? It's interesting. You never hear about Delta Force, and that's for a reason. You hear about the SEALs all the time, the different teams.
There's a TV show on them, and they are.
The different teams. But Delta Force is, I always viewed that personally, it's Army It's another level. You know, the SEALs are Navy. But anyways, what do we? So,
but you guys, when they realized they did it, they just said, "Oh, we regret that was posted. We're just going to delete it." That was their only response to this thing.
Yeah, but nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Well, you should care.
Yeah.
That should make you mad.
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
It does.
It does. It makes me mad.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just mad at the news today.
Yeah.
I feel like I woke up mad this morning.
I did too.
Did you?
Up mad too.
Yeah, I did wake up mad. Okay. We have talked about the border and all the illegal immigrants that have come in. I think we mentioned it last week, but
Which
now
border?
the southern border.
Our border?
Yes, our border. That Biden is supposedly now putting a wall up to, okay? But federal officials are now warning. They're now warning, okay? That members of terrorist organizations like Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad are potentially entering the United States through our open southern border.
No kidding.
Yes,
That's
they
been
put
going
out.
on
That's
for a long
insane.
time.
They put
Why?
out an
It's
alert.
hard to imagine that could happen.
I bet they got 3,000 soldiers in here.
Okay.
Yeah.
This memo. Okay, my neighbor.
Be vigilant and be watchful.
Yes.
Yep.
Right? Pay
'Cause
attention.
what did Guy say? You said it last week.
We keep talking
He
about
did.
Guy.
He said be vigilant, Guy.
Guy is one of our people in Israel. He's ex-Special Forces. If you go on the Final Hour podcast tour this year or next October, we're going to do it.
You don't need to email in about next October dates. We will let you know when that is available.
You're going to meet him. All right. But this is one of the people that are on the ground there that we've known for many, many years. Right.
I actually have 2 articles connected bonus feature about Guy because Guy, which I don't know if you follow us on Instagram, but when the war happened, we made a post for the Aliyah Foundation, which Guy works with. They're getting money and they're giving it to families who were lost everything with the Gaza Strip attack, the terrorist attack down there. And they're feeding over, I think he said, was it like 600 families a day? So these are families that the Israeli government won't support because they have kids with special needs, like older people who don't have the means to get things.
Right.
So he, along with a bunch of other people, are delivering food to all these people. I have 2 articles attached that Breitbart wrote about Guy and his ministry. And Guy also told me, I think it was yesterday on the phone, I can't remember now, that his organization is raising money so that, because he's in charge of his kibbutz. Yeah. He's like
his neighborhood.
Yeah, but he's like the guy in charge of.
He's like the mayor.
No, what's it called?
No, he's in charge of their little personal security force.
Yes, and he wants to raise
all
money.
these kibbutzes
militia.
Yes, and so he wants to raise money to buy every kibbutz leader like weapons and vests and jackets.
Yep.
So we're gonna have that link on here, but that's what he's trying to do. So he's doing a lot over there, and
That's
he
awesome.
told me that he posted some of the information that he got from the journalist meeting that he went to and posted on his Facebook facts about what Hamas did and the terrorists did, and they censored him. And they said, you are sharing false information. It was this little boy. Everybody in his family got murdered in front of him. I think he was 3. He's still missing. And so Guy posted about this story, and Facebook came back and said, you're censored for misinformation. If you do this again, we're going to take away your Facebook. Well, if you go on Guy's Facebook, everything is about all this, what he's trying to do. Yeah. So it makes you think like there's something behind all that.
I just hope we don't wind up a goat nation. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but in a way, I'm not going to be here. I believe I'm going the rapture. And so good luck to you.
Thank you.
We did have a guy write in, I can't remember his name, and he believes that he's called to stay behind.
Yeah.
And he has a plan. I mean, it was reading his email. It was pretty cool, actually.
Okay.
That God has called. I mean, to know that you're going to do that. I mean, I think I want to do that, but then I really think about it. I'm like, could I handle that? I don't know, but
we'll see once you get in the middle of it if you really want to do it.
I feel like
I'm saying that like if a car came down my driveway, I think I'd be afraid. So if I think I'm going to stay back here, like, I mean, if I felt like someone was breaking into my house, that's a different feeling than just thinking I'm going to stay here and fight or do something.
Fight what?
I don't know. At the end, when you're in the end. And you're
don't
called
even know
to
how
be
it's
left
all going
behind.
to play out.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
wild.
To think about it.
Maybe I can hang around a little bit if my wife and kids are
they're in heaven.
already in heaven. Then I'm like
you're gonna go and you're gonna go there eventually anyway.
I want out. Get me out.
I don't know yet. We'll see.
Get me out now.
Can't go yet. Sorry.
I know.
We got stuff to do. We
We
got
do
a
have stuff to
podcast
do.
to
Well,
run.
We do.
The Lord did take Enoch out just because he liked him so much. So. Lord raptured Enoch.
Well,
was
so
a
if Jim
rapture.
goes
Just
missing one day, we'll
crossed
know that
over.
the Lord took him up in a chariot of fire.
That or on a beach somewhere. But anyway,
And he ran away, and nobody knows where he is because we can't find him because he has a flip phone.
on a beach somewhere.
You can't say, "Where's my iPhone?" Press it and find Jim. Okay, so do you guys know that 4 million illegal immigrants have crossed the southern border this year?
I've heard about
And
it.
we have had 4 million babies born. So for every baby that's been born in the United States as an official citizen has an illegal immigrant attached to them. Isn't that just insane? 4 million people in 1 year.
And they're
That's
giving them
much-
$9,000 a pop.
Yes.
The Biden administration.
Yes,
right?
they are $9,000. And they're allowed to get loans from the bank.
Your taxes.
And they can't discriminate.
That is
I was
insane.
reading about that.
Loans from the bank.
If
$9,000.
if that's not enough, we've been talking about population control.
Yeah.
All along the Final Hour podcast. Did you hear? Did we talk about Italy
No.
last week? Italy had 3 months where no babies were born. It was 3 months
Wow.
between births here in the last couple months here. There were 0 Italian
So they banned it?
births. They didn't ban it. They just aren't replacing. They said that 10 Italians died per every
Do you think
7
it's because of the
babies born.
marinara?
I don't know about the marinara. I think, but I guess it's possible because that was a very highly
That is
marinara
crazy. I'm surprised
Marinara.
anyone.
population.
Nara.
Yeah. So it's pretty interesting. So that's
Very.
been a big thing. But I mean, that's the goal of the Islamic revolution is to replace all of the other
That's true.
people that don't believe in the same as them over all the earth. They believe in world domination.
They do. I know I've given a lot of border facts, but I think it's very interesting that last month Venezuela topped Mexicans for the first time ever as a leading nationality illegally crossing the U.S. southern border. And do you remember that the Venezuelan government said they were going to send prisoners over here? So they're going to let prisoners out and send them here. So
We've been saying that.
isn't that interesting? Like I read that and I was like, I Googled and I was like, didn't we say like 7 months ago that they're opening their prison doors and sending people
did.
here? And here we
But
are.
you know what's ridiculous is there's a Minnesota Viking, and he was talking about how he can't get his wife, who's Filipino, to be approved
Right.
to come into the country
Yep.
legally.
Wow.
They keep rejecting her. And I'm just kind of to myself, I'm just like, well, why not just send her down to the border?
I know.
and then
At
have
that
her come
point.
through.
And
But
she'll get
w-
$9,000
when
to
you
get a
get
cell
married-
phone and an ID.
when
Yeah.
you get married, does it not get you a green card or anything anymore?
Not necessarily.
No, I'm not here. It's
Okay,
hard.
but
Because my brother-in-law had the same situation. He married a woman in Honduras. He's a missionary in Honduras, and it took like 2 or 3 years to get her visa
baffling.
approved.
So you want to do it the right way, and then you can't.
They finally
The right way.
got
You
it
want to
done.
do it the right way. Yeah, go into the border.
Oh, yeah.
That's the right
That's
way.
true. That's the right
Much
way.
more
According to the
successful.
Biden
If you want some
administration.
cash, if you want some cash, you want an ID, you want a driver's license. If you go to California, you could become a cop even. All right.
Hey, well, we just gave, 10,000 licenses to illegal immigrants in Minnesota?
Minnesota, yeah, we did.
It's called License for All.
Yeah.
You voted that in,
Yeah, so
people
yeah,
who vote.
yeah, you voted for that.
Minnesota, you're going to have to fight to get your state back.
You are. And have you seen the Ilhan Omar, how
No.
her and that Talib
Yeah.
are sharing
Rashida
false
Tlaib.
information?
Oh, yeah.
So they're trying to get them
Big
removed
time.
right now. And I think there's petitions. I tried to find one that we could link to this podcast,
Yeah.
but I couldn't. But what horrible people.
Absolutely.
Anyways. Okay, I think this is interesting because we all know that Trump is being indicted for like tons of things.
77 things.
And the judge who is residing over one of his cases said he's not allowed to talk about it anymore because he
Yeah,
didn't
got a
like the
gag
way he
order.
was. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, but listen. So this guy I just think this is interesting because we talked about last week how the guy went to jail for posting a meme about Hillary Clinton and voting online.
Right.
So this guy, because Trump wrote a post and said he didn't like the clerk or something.
Because the court clerk was connected to a bunch of anti-Trump people.
Yes. So Trump makes a tweet about this clerk and kind of like exposes the situation and says what happened.
Yep.
The judge says, remove your tweet. Trump's like, no, I'm not removing my tweet.
Yeah.
So then the judge puts a gag order on and says, if you don't remove the tweet, then we can give you jail time. So Trump had to delete the tweet. But isn't it interesting that they're threatening all that to Trump when we just talked about last week about the person going to jail for Hillary Clinton's meme? Like, that's what you're doing. And
not that there's any people tweeting or saying things about Trump or any other
and I just read a
people.
post yesterday. I'm trying to find it. But this radio guy, he made a comment about the 1/6 Capitol event, and he's going to jail because he made a comment on air about what happened and what was taking place, and he was going to jail for it because they said it was false information, and he's leading people down the wrong way. That's where we're at in America.
Freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech.
Gone.
You better stand up now.
Yep, you better.
Gone.
That's the news.
That's the news.
That's the news.
With Walter.
I'm not mad at anybody except the idiots who support the terrorists. Oh, I liked him.
Did you?
Well, I liked his
stoic
yeah, I did.
reporting of the news. Just
that was back in the day where even though they were all liberals, they still brought a balanced over. They didn't
just the facts, ma'am.
Yes, that was those were.
Just give us the facts and let us decide for ourselves.
Yeah. Well, I don't want you to, so
they won't. I did see this this person. They were doing a news report, and the lady they're trying to defend what was taking place in Palestine, and the other guy, after 35 seconds of her talking, just lit her up and was like, "What are you even?" And he gets so mad and he starts to yell at her like, "What are you even saying? Do you even understand what's really happening there?" And I was like,
"No,
good for him."
Yeah,
no, you don't. And there's so much deception behind it. I guess I'm to the point. Especially, fine, the people on the left and the liberals and all that, right? But when you're talking about a conservative Christian,
right?
Yeah,
you should know better.
And it's like, you know what? It's just like I'm kind of the point where if you don't come here to this church, if you don't have the teaching of what the Bible says about all this, I really don't want to have the time to explain it to you. Right, because you think you already know.
Right. Well, I'm so glad that your dad was early in talking about that replacement theology and standing up for Israel. Yeah. I mean, that's 20 years ago, but
do you know what replacement theology is?
Right.
Do you? Okay. Does it seem as if I'm
right?
Anyways,
it's so.
Anyways.
I mean,
no, I'm talking
it's
to somebody.
so important.
Talking to somebody, you know who you are. Okay.
I'm not that person, and I am happy.
Sorry to be weird. Anyways, listen, we prayed for you right before we came on the air. Right after we took Rollo out of the room.
Rollo, he loved it.
Boy, he was a great guest host.
But listen,
surprised he didn't try to climb behind my chair. He sits. I'll be at my desk trying to type things, and Jim's dog Rollo will shimmy his way up and then stand over my shoulder with his feet on my desk while I'm trying. And sometimes he'll
trying
put
to make
his
sure
paw
you're doing
on my
it right.
keyboard.
He tries to hit the keys.
He's so funny.
He tries to do what Lonaiah
He does.
But listen, this is an exciting time to live, believe it or not. And you have to stay strong, and you have to keep your relationship strong, and you have to use your authority every single day.
Absolutely.
Use your authority every day. All right? And so thank you so much for tuning in to the Final Hour podcast. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It helps us. God bless you. See you next week.